Hello, everyone. My name is Jim Shearer, and these are the 100 greatest artists of all time. We sent ballots to musicians and music experts. We received votes from over 200 artists, including P. Diddy, Mariah Carey, and Ozzy Osbourne, as well as members of U2, Metallica, The Police, and Aerosmith. So let's get right to it with number 100.
Keep on falling in love.
When I think of Alicia Keys, I think of empowered female artist who has kicked ass and took control and was really soulful, and I love seeing that.
I always say people want to hear new music anymore, and she's that one that she's going to give you real music.
She plays the piano, she can write songs, she looks good. She looks, oh man, looks just like, wow.
Oh, God, Alicia Keys is bad. I mean, she was just like illegal fine.
I just think she's everything that a pop star should be. She just has it all. She's a great leader. She's an incredible singer, a great player. She looks great. So incredible.
Her music is special. She's needed.
Every few years you have an artist that comes and that's really serious about their artistry and the integrity of the music.
She's playing that piano, she's singing it like it's her last song ever. You know, you gotta love that, respect that.
Oh, how about these guys?
I don't know, it's just real kind of laid back. It was like real cool, like almost like the Fonz.
Such a smooth mix of rock and R&B, softness. I just loved it.
It was really the soundtrack of my junior high school years. I remember being on the bus, like riding to school. Kiss on My Lips was playing over the radio.
Wow, Hall & Oates was definitely a big deal growing up.
Everybody knew their songs, you know, black, white, Latin. They were just on every radio station.
For a long time, the black community didn't know that they were white. So when you finally got to see them, you're like, what? Singing like that? I can't believe they sing so soulful.
Daryl and I have developed a sound that's uniquely ours over the years. And it has to do with our roots in Philadelphia and the R&B and soul tradition.
They wrote amazing songs. Bottom line, I don't care what kind of music you listen to or like. Shut up, put down the walls of pretension for 1 second and just listen to the songs. Go back and start listening to the hits. You realize, like, these guys could go play a 2-hour show and you'll know every song. Love Hall & Oates. Love.
When I'm with you, baby, are you out of my head? And I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough.
I love Depeche Mode. Depeche Mode has beautiful melodies and really well-written songs.
Depeche Mode was probably the first concert that I ever went to. There was nothing cooler at the time.
Just Can't Get Enough was, in a way, the last Depeche Mode song of their sort of chirpy pop era before they got really dark.
Ironically, it was when they got dark that they really became global megastars.
Reach out, touch faith.
Violator came out. It was like Depeche Mode is playing like stadiums, which just still blows my mind.
Personal Jesus sounds so fresh and so good. It's such high quality. You could release that now and it would be a smash.
I'm a big Depeche Mode fan. They have their own sound. They carved their space out and they own that.
Depeche Mode's still touring today and drawing a huge audience. It just shows that their songs completely go past their genre. They make these beautiful melodic songs that will live on forever. They're brilliant.
Grab the first 2 or 3 Pretenders albums and you will not go wrong.
Every single member of that band is so musical, and they had a sound that was very unique.
Chrissie Hynde's one of my favorite female rock singers. She sings with a fire that very few people have, male or female.
Brass in Pocket is such a sassy, cool, quintessential Chrissie Hynde expression. She was so tough but vulnerable, sexy but sensitive. I'm special, so special.
Chrissie Hynde consistently writes good songs. She lost 2 of her band members, from heroin overdoses, and then she just bounced right back and made maybe the greatest record of her career.
Was that Learning to Crawl?
Yeah.
Chrissie Hynde is just like a badass rock and roll chick. I love her because it wasn't about, well, she's pretty great for a chick. She was just badass all the way across the board.
I found a picture of you.
I was just doing what I wanted to do. I mean, that's what rock and roll is about. It's about doing what you want to do and making the music that you want to make.
Chrissie Hynde is such an amazing lyricist and badass front woman. Still rocking today. Like, she really was an inspiration for me. She's brilliant.
We are counting down the 100 greatest artists. VH1 first asked musicians to vote on the top artists ever back in 1998. Recently, we did another vote to see how tastes have changed. Now, this next act didn't appear on many ballots in the 98 poll, but now they rank among the all-time greats. At number 96, it is Journey.
Oh!
This might be called somebody's guilty pleasure, but I don't think pleasure should ever be guilty.
Journey is one of the biggest bands that has ever existed. They are the quintessential arena rock band. They can rock really hard. They can do power ballads. The point is, when you put on Journey, you feel like everything's going to be awesome.
Great band. So many hits.
Do I have to do the list? I mean, come on. Faithfully.
Who's Crying Now?
Don't Stop Believing.
Separate Ways.
Lights.
I can keep going on forever. I'm a fanatic.
I had a lot of great memories to Journey records. A lot of good road trips and drinking moments in high school.
Someone was at a 6th grade dance making their first move to a Journey song.
First time I had sex with my high school sweetheart was to Faithfully.
Steve Perry's voice is mind-boggling.
Streetlights, people, never just a emotion, hiding somewhere in the night.
Steve Perry's voice was definitely up there, but you can never underestimate Neil Schoen's guitar playing. His guitar playing gave it the edge that it needed.
Is there a song that is more loved in the United States of America than Don't Stop Believin'? I would say nay.
Don't stop believing.
power and the beauty in those melodies goes beyond the production, goes beyond the era, goes beyond the genre, and that is why it will last forever.
I'm a fan for life.
Outkast, man, one of my favorite Southern groups of all time, man. When we talk about swagger, lyricism, painting the picture of the South, they did it first before pretty much anybody.
First time I heard Bombs Over Baghdad, the record blew my mind. I listened to it 3 times in a row, and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy.
Bombs Over Baghdad was dope. Sorry Miss Jackson was even better.
I'm sorry, Miss Jackson.
They one of the greatest duos of all time.
We are like two Funkensteins. Like, we're definitely inventors, experimenters. We're not afraid to make music.
My baby is drama, mama don't like me. She doing things like having the boys come from her neighborhood to the studio trying to fight me.
They both bring a different dynamic. Your Big Boy will come in with, you know, Andre brings in a quirkiness and a bit of sensitivity.
Andre 3000 never spits a whack verse.
Hey, yeah, I remember when that song first came out, it was so different, and at first I think people were like, what is this? But it took, you know, R&B, you know, music in a different direction.
There's so many musical genres and fields of music, like why not utilize every aspect of the music to make a monster piece?
They brought their originality, they brought their sound, they bring their freshness, they kept growing and keep growing. And I think that's why they one of the greatest groups ever.
Treated me kind, sweet destiny.
Mariah Carey, I was just floored by her. Like, who is this person? Where'd she come from?
The one that was waiting for me.
Me and my sister used to listen to Mariah Carey for hours. We would just put her album on repeat and would just marvel at the kind of husky, smoky tone and then the power at the same time.
It's just her voice, man. It gives me the shivers when I listen to it. It's just incredible.
She has the voice of an angel. She's like a flute.
Then she kind of undergoes this change. She embraces hip-hop remix culture, teams up with ODB, teams up with Puff.
There's only so many power ballads you can sing, and she wanted to hit that aside, and she did a great job.
Mariah Carey is now edgier, which makes sense. I mean, she's lived through a lot.
I mean, everybody counted her out. She came back hard and came back strong, and she proved everybody wrong.
I didn't mean it when I said I didn't love you so.
Mariah has 18 #1 singles. Only the Beatles have more than Mariah.
One of the greatest voices ever.
Mariah Carey's dope to me. She's really talented. Like, I don't think nobody can dispute that.
Pearl Jam, they are one of the essential souls of the grunge movement, and they're still amazing to this day.
The first time I heard the music, I just was blown away by this amazing riffs, especially live. That guitar riff is just very satisfying. But also there was the voice of Eddie Vedder.
He's like the Jim Morrison of the 90s, man. He's just so awesome.
I was a kid, and I heard Pearl Jam for the first time. And the next day, I called some friends up, and we started our first rock band.
They were able to become so unbelievably massive without ever having to
sell out or do anything that they didn't want to do.
The fact that Pearl Jam was able to conduct their career on their own terms has probably helped them survive for the 20 years that they have been around.
They're a band that adopted a lot of difficult principles in the 90s and have nonetheless stuck to those principles.
If you've ever seen them play live, you'll know why they're still filling up Madison Square Garden. And on top of that, their records are always incredible.
And I just tip my hat to them for not only their longevity, but staying at the top of their game this whole time.
Jimmy Cricket, the greatest artist of all time? Wow. Oh, God.
Next up, an artist who dropped out of high school at 16 to record his very first album. He is one of the few hip-hop stars to have hits in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. At number 92, LL Cool J.
Come on, man.
There's some of us that remember when hip-hop was becoming itself. And then one day you saw LL Cool J.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years.
He had the muscles, and he had the Kango. Oh, please. He set it off. He's an architect.
Competition's paying the price.
He believes in himself. He's charming. He's smart. He looks good. He's incredible line.
Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it!
He worked hard on stage. Like, he would go out there and he put a sweat. Even though your girl might go, "Oh, I love him," you couldn't be mad at him because you couldn't say he was whack.
When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall, and in the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call.
I love LL. He's the best lip licker ever.
It looks like he has on lip balm like 24/7. Like he probably wakes up and his lips are all just shiny and juicy.
When I first heard the song, I Need Love, I was a little girl, but you couldn't tell me he was not singing to me.
I've come to realize that I need true love.
You out here who tried to diss LL when he did I Need Love, get the out. I love you. If you could do a song and get hit with panties, come on now. I wish I wrote it.
He came from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s and always had hit records. LL Cool J, the rapper, to LL Cool J in movies and TV. That's my man till we die. Incredible.
From back in the day till now, I love hip-hop and I always will.
Cut it up for me one time.
Do you have the time to listen to me whine?
Green Day, brought punk rock back in a huge way in the early 90s.
I am one of those melodramatic fools.
And as soon as Dookie came out, I immediately went out and bought everything that I could find on them, and they have never disappointed me.
Back in the day, there was one concert I was out and yelling and he spit on me and I was like, yeah, that's the coolest ever. And then I got kicked in the head by a stage diver. So I don't remember the rest of the show.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road.
Every young person that's had any teenage angst or felt rejected or felt bored or felt understimulated in their life at any time can relate to Green Day.
Something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life.
He's really a talented writer, and it's really a strong suit of his that became more obvious even as I think his career went on.
With American Idiot, they went up to this other level as a band.
Don't wanna be an American idiot.
It was a band that were making a political statement, and that was the real moment where people got Green Day.
They were able to translate the album into this Broadway show. It just seemed natural.
they've managed to keep that work ethic going and also that sort of musical idealism going, even though now their songs are on Broadway. It's kind of crazy. Nobody else has really had a punk rock journey like Green Day.
Green Day, they're a career band. They can make albums till the day that they die and they'll be successful.
Buddy Holly? Nerdy guy, yeah, with the Buddy Holly glasses, and he called himself Elvis. And now he's like this rock legend.
He's one of those guys that writes a song at breakfast, writes a song at lunch and at dinner, and they're all good.
Elvis Costello is probably the best lyricist in rock and roll. He is so direct and straightforward and so heartfelt at the same time.
Elvis Costello is one of those guys where he's such an incredible writer that you don't think of him in a genre. He can play super upbeat rock band music with tons and tons of lyrics. He can play very emotional ballads. He's just an iconic artist.
I do believe that all along I've been a ballad singer who could sing rock and roll, not the other way around.
That guy just had it. He was the guy that blew everybody else away. He's singular.
One of the greatest and most talented groups of all time.
We thought, who the hell were these white guys doing this crazy ass hip hop?
You gotta fight for your right to party.
They weren't a white hip hop rap group trying to be a black hip hop rap group. Beasties were real.
Beastie Boys, they're just a super band. They just don't stop at hip-hop. They do a lot of hardcore music, jazz music, you name it, like they're all over the place.
They break trends and set trends, and they've always been a huge inspiration to us.
They've always managed to reinvent themselves, whether it's musically or their image or any part of that.
We're 25 plus years on from License to Ill. Nobody expected them to hang around that long, let alone take up this activist role. And that's what makes the Beastie Boys so interesting.
If you love them, you're going to love them forever. You have all their records. You can't front on Beastie Boys.
The Bee Gees? You talk about the Gibbs and all that?
That Saturday Night Fever soundtrack, you hear it so much that you forget how phenomenal it is. I mean, even today you hear it and it's just amazing.
They're one of those bands that unfortunately has gotten the short end of the stick because they kind of invented something that was disco. And then everybody forgot about the whole repertoire of what they had been.
They're just incredible songwriters, and that's what I love. The most perfect, beautiful pop songs.
To love somebody.
The songs are just absolutely classic.
When I first heard the Bee Gees was probably Saturday Night Fever. That I mean, when I can really think of like, okay, who are these guys? And their hair was incredible too.
They look like Uber dudes. They got their suits, their chest hair, medallions, man rings, beards. Then they start singing and you're like, those ladies sound lovely.
I remember buying that 45 and playing it over and over again, and I have to admit that, I'm sorry. As hardcore as I try to come off at times, How Deep Is Your Love was in regular rotation.
On the school bus, the Bee Gees would come on, and half the bus would be like, yeah, and the other half would be like, ugh.
Some people hated the Bee Gees' disco hits because for some people it's fun to hate things that are popular.
You listen to the music and it just makes you want to boogie. Sadly, we lost Morris, but Barry and Robin Gibb are actually talking about getting back together.
For the Bee Gees, things have completely come around. Now I think the Bee Gees are universally loved.
Love the Bee Gees. Their music lives on forever.
Which is interesting for this handsome, tanned man.
No one can deny that his music was the music of the 80s and the 90s. That's my favorite song.
I was a big Wham fan, but then he brought out Faith, and that was the moment I was like,
well, I guess it would be nice if I could touch your body. And he had the leather jacket. It was like this whole pseudo James Dean thing he had going on. It's like the cutest white boy we had seen in a really long time.
I was heartbroken when I found out he was gay.
Cause I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith.
He produced all those records himself. He wrote all those songs himself, 100%. He's a badass.
He went through some of the worst scandals you can go through, and still everyone loves the guy. And if you're sitting at home saying, I don't like George Michael, you're lying to yourself.
it's his voice. Like, his voice is the best voice in pop of any guy I know, and it's still as good today as it was.
You gotta get for what you take. Straight out of Compton, it's a crazy brother named Ice Cube. From the stupid dope.
They were the first group out of LA that just took all the glamour and glitz away and said, boom, this is what it is.
When NWA Straight Outta Compton came out, and we were just like, what the f is this? And it was really, really good.
They were not just an iconic hip-hop group, they were a megaphone for society.
What's up?
Tell them where you from. Straight Outta Compton.
You had Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, Eazy-E, MC Ren, and DJ Yella. They shocked the system.
It's so unapologetic. It's just like, this is who we are.
I'd never heard no like that, but that was like the you heard when you was on the street.
We sacrifice by doing our kind of records, you know. We can never be on the Pepsi commercial or, you know what I'm saying, doing endorsements.
I'm expressing with my full capabilities, and now I'm living in correctional facilities.
He is a great group, and it was a shame to see them break up. To me, they had a lot more great music to make collectively.
My behavior is hereditary, but my technique is very necessary. Blame it on.
Everybody loves NWA all across the world. They're brash, they're rude, but they're rebels, and Straight Outta Compton meant a lot for us.
The band was like a collision of perfect.
I put in the Nazareth. I was a beaten by head past it.
They just called themselves the band, which I guess could be considered a little bit, you know, but you know what? They were the band.
I always thought they were amazing. And I guess the first time that I remember coming in contact with the band is, you know, them being Bob Dylan's backup band, you know?
Bob Dylan said they were the best band in the world, hands down. How did a Canadian band, almost all Canadian, 4 out of 5, define Southern rock?
There's something that's immediately classic about the band's music, yet incredibly timeless.
It's really amazing how influential they were in everybody who heard them. You listen to the Beatles on Let It Be or the White Album, and you listen to the Stones on Sticky Fingers. They were listening to the band.
Without them,
there'd be something missing in the pantheon of American rock music.
Curtis Mayfield was like a poet, prophet, preacher.
With the Impressions, he makes some of the most gorgeous Chicago soul. And in the 70s, he invents himself as a funk singer-songwriter.
He had a different voice than anybody. He had like a nice soft falsetto voice. Plus, he was one of the greatest writers of all time.
Curtis Mayfield was about the streets. All of his music was heartfelt. He always talked about something. Superfly soundtrack. It was for a movie, but you could feel what he was talking about, like he'd almost lived that life before.
Curtis Mayfield, in a nice way, could explain away you being a drug dealer. Now, I mean, could do that. Yeah, Curtis is laying it down. Everybody's misused him, ripped him off and abused him.
Back in 1990, Curtis was doing a performance and a large piece of lighting equipment fell on him, which paralyzed him.
And then he died 9 years later, and it's just a tragedy.
What music lost was one of the world's great conscious minds.
Curtis Mayfield, his music was just unreal.
I'm gonna go with Martika. What about Van Morrison? He probably never even gets on there because he was fat and Irish. I'm sick and tired of people being against Van Morrison because he's fat and Irish.
We are counting down the 100 greatest artists ever, and this next group started in Chicago in the late 60s as the Salty Peppers. Founder Maurice White later named the band after 3 elements in his astrological charts. Here are Earth, Wind, and Fire.
It's not a list without Earth, Wind, and Fire.
My favorite group is Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Earth, Wind, and Fire was just an experience. They definitely had some funky grooves that was hot.
The music was powerful. It was a big production.
They've got like a sound that takes me back to a day where everything was just carefree.
Earth, Wind, and Fire, to me, was just like a super band. Their music is just phenomenal.
Maurice White, amazing producer and songwriter. Just the whole thing, they were very musical.
Maurice always wanted a band that could play all styles of music. We brought intricate rhythms, intricate horn lines, crazy melodics.
And Philip Bailey, come on. Who can sing like Philip Bailey?
Maybe it was some tight-ass pants.
Let the party begin.
How many people were in the band? Approximately 3 core members, and then about 80 on stage.
The night creeps so slowly.
Yeah, there was a lot of us. You know, times were different. The economy was different at that time.
They were one of the most soulful groups of the late 70s and early 80s. And they were like the soundtrack of my existence. Steely Dan was Donald Fagen and Walter Becker. With random studio musicians, they're weirdos, but they're geniuses.
2 guys named themselves after a robotic machine in a trippy William Burroughs novel who make weird songs. What's Reeling in the Years really about?
Young people don't really get Steely Dan. It takes a while to kind of take a fine wine. Yeah, or some kind of weird sushi that you would never eat when you're a kid.
We had your leaving, that's okay.
Steely Dan was influenced by jazz, old-time R&B, pretty much everything besides rock and roll. And they put a lot of focus on studio production as opposed to live performances.
Ricky, don't lose that number. You
after a long period of not making records together, when they come back together in the last 10 years, man, genius.
Seen your picture.
Steely Dan, when you hear them, you know it's them, you know. They don't sound like anybody else.
Sebastian Bach loves Steely Dan. Here's the reason. If I'm scrolling through the iPod and I'm on a 7-hour plane flight, I'm going to pick something that sounds excellent, and Steely Dan sounds excellent.
Oh, yes, we are counting down the 100 greatest artists ever here at the John Barbados store on New York's Bowery, former site of CBGB's. Moment of silence. Time for our last artist of the hour. They reportedly turned down $1 billion to reunite, but when you sold as many records as they have, you don't really need the cash.
Where are those happy days? They seem so hard to find.
They're Swedish, they're beautiful, they're wearing bell-bottoms. That's ABBA.
I'm not afraid to say it. I love ABBA. What?
You know, I love the influence that they had on the music industry. I love how, like, classic pop songs they were, and people just fell in love with them.
If you don't like them, you're legally dead.
The production's amazing on those records. The songwriting's insane. The girls didn't get hit with an ugly stick, let's put it that way.
Well, Agnetha was a focus for a lot of teenage boys, erotic fantasies. And I remember I had these feelings that I'd never had before. She was just the most incredibly beautiful thing.
The Dancing Queen, to me, is one of the great human accomplishments of all time. It's just pure, pure beauty.
Unfortunately, all that died out when their marriages both dissolved, and that was sort of the end of ABBA.
ABBA has sold over 400 million records. That's a lot. That's really incredible.
Mamma mia, does it show again? Mama, just how much I missed you.
I think ABBA's music is going to be here for a very long time, as they've proven through the Mamma Mia musical, and then, of course, the hit movie as well. And now they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's not going to stop.
I feel like their music really does bring joy to people.
And there you go, the first 20 artists on our 100 greatest artists of all time countdown. We still have 80 more to go. Once again, over 200 musicians cast ballads, including members of Duran Duran, Rush, and Metallica. You guys, you need to stick around to see how they voted. Thank you for watching. My name is Jim Shearer, and I will see yins later.